Since 1995, Netanyahu has been stating that Iran is weeks or days away from developing a nuclear weapon. So since 1995, it's been, 30 years, and still it hasn't happened. Countries with nuclear weapons tend to use about 90% enriched weapons-grade uranium. And according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, Iran has enriched uranium to 60% only. So clearly there is absolutely no evidence to indicate that Iran presents an imminent threat to Israel or to any other country.
It's precisely, it doesn't. The narrative that Iran is only a year or two away from nuclear weapons goes at least back to 1984. We have Western, New York Times articles going back to 1984, like warning of the threat. And it's of course exactly the same narrative that we've seen in Iraq, 2003, weapons of mass destruction, and those were an utter blatant lie. And we know all of that, and it's being brought out again. This is again a long tradition of lying about the potential the capabilities of some designated adversary in order to justify war. That's all it is. And anyone who then says like, but you're not trusting the intelligence. We have intelligence. Right. That's why it's so important that Tulsi Gabbard came out, because she's the head of the intelligence services. So she actually did a very politically savvy thing, which is she sabotaged that argument 2 months ago. But what they do is they try to establish narrative control, right? If you lose the narrative control, what happens is what happened to the US in the 70s when they lost the control over how the Vietnam War was being portrayed. So right now there's the attempt, especially also by the media, is still to establish this narrative control in order to create facts. If you can get to that point, then whatever comes next will certainly entail more military involvement and affairs until something compels you to somehow take it back. The thing to understand is that there's people in the US and in Tel Aviv who want exactly that. The disaster is the goal. We are acting in a humanitarian way. We just want to get rid of the mullah regime. We want to help the Iranians to empower themselves. All of that is utter BS.